Our fraternity, Tau Epsilon Phi, is full of 18 to 24-year-old young men who do not have much concern for the environment. We wanted to figure out a way to give back to the university, the community, and to educate our frat about the importance of sustainability and the threat that revolves around this issue. Student David Ampel. His major is all about the environment and doing projects that are sustainable. I learned much from Dave in terms of helping the environment through green design. Swan Hall Senior Garden is a small space, so only we did not have much enthusiastic support from our fraternity. We went into the garden fall 2011 with 8 individuals out of the 50 members of our frat. We cleaned up the garden and made a difference. Everyone else realized how important this was. We received full support from the fraternity, and this issue became a TEP priority. How we got started. TEP President Ben Frechette attended a meeting in fall 2010. At this meeting, Assistant Director of Lands and Grounds, Shalene Clark, spoke about a secret garden in Swan Hall that was neglected and needed help. She said she needed a fraternity to do the hard labor for them as volunteer work. Ben spoke to our environmental manager, David Ampel, who is also a student in landscape architecture program right here at URI. David took the project with much enthusiasm and jumped right into it spring 2011. At this point, Dave was communicating with Shalene Clark through meetings and emails. Through these, he got a real idea of what they were looking for, their budget, their goals, and everything else. At this point, Shalene sent over 2 master plans of the garden, which Dave inserted into AutoCAD and made his own maps. If we were looking for any physical literature, the best thing would be the plans Shalene sent us. We relied heavily on these. Fall 2011 is when we actually started the site analysis and got our hands dirty. After I learned that I had been assigned this project, I talked with Dave and he decided it would be a good idea to have an assistant. Basically, my duties were as follows. To act as the liaison from Dave. That is to send any emails, create Facebook groups, and talk in person with members. To actually assist with the site analysis, and to finally help build this thing. For the site analysis, my duties varied greatly. We completed the analysis after several trips to the garden. A lot of the time, I was writing down any notes Dave wanted me to. At other times, I was on the other side of the garden measuring tape, taking dimensions of the site. Doing. We plan to build this project in spring 2012. The preliminary design and analysis has taken place thanks to my help. This allowed Dave to put these drawings into AutoCAD to create his own base maps of the site. With that being said, the site analysis is split into 8 key parts. These consist of circulation. This targets areas where users are most likely to move. It shows where doors are and the paths by users coming out of them. With this in mind, we can strategically decide where to put any paths or we can block paths we do not want users to take. For the garden, there really is only one direction that one can move. We are planning on putting movable tables and chairs, which will act as our main hub of circulation. Site inventory. This type of map is used to see what type of materials there are in the site. This shows all existing elements. It shows where plants are, where the pavement is, what type of pavement, light fixtures, and anything else of concern. This gives us an idea of what exactly we are working with. In our case, working with the secret garden, the biggest thing for us is identifying the pavers and replacing them with permeable pavers to help the environment. When we complete this, we intend to talk to Shalene in efforts of recycling these pavers. We're going to try and arrange a better location to put these pavers on campus. Existing vegetation map. We then made an existing vegetation map which shows which plants we want to keep, remove, and which plants we want to transplant to another location. While doing this part of an analysis, we have to look at the character of a tree and see if it's worth keeping. I also learned that any large tree took time to grow, so we should respect it and let it be. Layout plan. This shows the dimensions of the site. Our method of data collection was through the use of a fully graduated tape. We took horizontal distance measurement to make sure that we were as accurate as possible. Once we collected the data, we compared it with Shalene's map and fixed any errors that we found. Wind. This map shows wind patterns so we can strategically plant trees in ways to alleviate our heating usage. Trees can divert wind to make a space more comfortable for users experiencing cold winter winds. In the winter, winds blow northwest, aligning trees to block the wind flow. We can use this to modify microclimate. In the summer, plants can also be used to shade a building, which cuts down on air conditioning costs. In the case of the secret garden, however, we found that there's very little wind in the space, what is in the middle of the building. You can get a gust of wind in there, but in terms of blocking any wind, the building did that for us. The sun and the shade map. We do this map to show different times of the year where the sun versus the shade is. This allows us to deliberately place benches, paths, and other site amenities so they can maximize usage year-round. The best way to show this is through a program created by Google called SketchUp. The program allows users to develop a 3D model of sites and allows us to change the times of the year as well as the day as to see where the sun is doing at these different times. Frequently, there's only one small spot where the sun is year-round. Good and bad views. We need this map because we want to target where we want users to be looking the most and build our design around that, drawing them to the space. The best view in the space is clearly the Acer palmatum tree specimen. We know we would like to base our design off of this. Also a very important view in the secret garden is the office workers' view from their office. We don't want to obstruct anyone's view so they are staring at the back of a tree all day. Our final map is the drainage map. At every site, it is very important to address drainage. For this project, we went into the garden when it rained and saw how the site reacted. Unfortunately, we found a severe drainage problem on the north side of the garden. We realized that it wasn't good for the plants to sit in water, so we made a map of the affected areas. As explained earlier, the secret garden is at a very inconvenient elevation, which is 1 inch below everything else. During medium to heavy storms, the garden floods with water. This is detrimental to the plant's life in the garden. There are only a few species of trees in the world that can survive submerged in water for long periods of time. An example of this is the mangrove tree in Florida. In this case, a couple hours of roots being submerged in soil can lead to disease, fungal infections, and bacteria causing root rot. This drainage problem can also lead to problems within Swan Hall in 2011 and cause the conference room's new rug damage. Change. We hope that this project's use of permeable pavement and native plants will raise awareness. We plan to rip up all of the impermeable pavers and replace them with permeable paver surface. We are hoping that our design may inspire someone to plant native plants or perhaps use permeable pavements because of their benefit to the environment. Promote. In order to keep everyone in our fraternity on the same page, I sent out emails about notable things concerning the garden. Once our fraternity went from email to Facebook, things got a lot easier, and this is still the way that we communicate. Once we are done with this project in its entirety, we'll be making handouts for all the people located in offices, showing them how our project not only improved their view, but also helped the environment. Defending. After we install it next semester, we are going to give a handout to all of the offices in Swan Hall to educate them about our project, its sustainability and eco-friendly design, which ultimately affects the environment. First, surface water, aka runoff, is bad for the area, which causes erosion, root rot, and only some plants can be submerged in water. We are taking away about half the pavement in the middle of the site, which will open up the area to allow penetration of water. We are also installing a retention pond, which with stone, so the water will go into the ground and not be held up by a rubber liner. Peculate through the ground, usually not designed for this purpose. We want to install permeable pavers. These allow water to penetrate through these, which reduces surface water a lot. Next, invasive versus invasive plants. Our garden is going to support native species to Rhode Island. There will be no invasive plants to prevent rapid growth, aggressive competition to native plants, and rapid dispersal mechanisms. Plants more trees, which produce more oxygen, which reduces CO2. We are maintaining the area, cleaning it up on a weekly basis. Also, any material we remove, we are going to give to lands and grounds for them to reuse. I would say the biggest thing for them would be reusing those impermeable pavers in a place where good drainage isn't required, or possibly space them half an inch apart to allow water to penetrate.